Hey everybody, hi, caught me off guard there. Now I'm just playing. Hey, what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about emotions, okay? Because emotions are the seat of the power. Emotions are that seat of the things that are hindering us or helping us get to our end goal, okay? And sometimes we look at emotions as something that is it's just happening, right? That's just me or those types of things, okay? Because we've heard or we have experienced or we have our own feelings about different things, right? And we have become our emotions. Right? So what I want to do is I want to show you that that's not always the case. You don't have to be, your emotions, okay? And what I want to do is I want you to understand that it's quite possible to get yourself to a place of contemplation and peaceful meditation so that you can understand the difference between who you are and the real you, right? Right after this. Hey, so like we said, we're going to talk about emotions, how those emotions are captivating us, how those emotions are leading us away from the ideal thing that we want. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about things like law of attraction. Okay, you're hearing things like vibration, all those types of things. Okay, there is nothing new under the sun. You're simply understanding the difference between fear and faith. Those differences, and then what is drawing you toward the poles, right? Are you drawn more toward the fear side? Are you drawn more toward the faith side? Okay, so what we're going to do is drive in and show you how the emotions are a indicator of which way are you that you're headed. Okay, because when you are involved in your emotions, okay, and when those emotions get you to a point to where you are making a decision. Okay, when you're coming in and you're saying that I'm just like this, right? Or I'm a Gemini, or I'm a Aries, or whatever those things are. We have all these external things that are dictating to us or what we should, or what our character is, or what our characteristic is, right? I'm a fire, or I'm a water, or this, that, and the other. But nothing is indicating of your purpose, right? You were designed a certain way. Okay, when there is a hammer, when there is a screwdriver, those things are developed differently, those are shaped differently, so they have different ways that they need to be used. And that is also the same about you. Just because you are born a certain way, just because you are a certain color, just because there is anything that you feel is a self-limiting thought, does not mean that it's something that is limiting you, other than your own perception of that. Okay, so your emotions, when you get that into place and you understand those emotions, okay, those are things that are that are getting in and getting you to a point of uh, you're either laughing, okay, or sometimes it's a sadness, okay, or sometimes you don't even know, what that emotion is or why you're feeling a certain way. Okay, so now it's the time to understand how to map that out, how to find out where is that coming from. And I know, listen, I know that there's things that there hormonal imbalances, those types of things that cause, different things to happen. But I'm not talking about that today. What I'm talking about are the things that we know that we can control. Okay, because the thing is, there is a space in between the real you, the emotion, and then what you choose. Okay, so when you have an emotion, that is something that is brought upon, and we're going to look into the map first. Okay, the emotion is brought upon by a thought, okay, and that thought comes from many different places. And see, the more and more that you get to a place that where you know who you are, and then you get to a place to where you're less reactive and more responsive. You say, Mike, well, how do I do that? How do I get myself to where I'm not feeling like I'm controlled by this impulse, where I'm not feeling like I'm controlled by, what somebody does to me. Okay. And see, what happens is this: you have that a period of time to where you're able to say, you can actually see it. You can actually notice that I'm getting mad. Okay, you can actually feel, that I'm about to cry. Right, I'm about to cuss somebody out. Right, so you can actually feel that coming about. So now, as you feel that coming about, that is something. So that is not you. So in your mind, you in your heart, you have to decide to say that, hey, I can see that that is an emotion, that is energy headed my way. Okay, that is energy in motion. That is an emotion that is headed my way. I can then choose to pick from a reserve, because I've been planting in myself, right, thoughts. I've been reading good books. I've been putting in myself things that are positive. Okay. So now I can actually reach out and choose to respond by that I've placed in. Okay. So when I see something coming at me and I see that it's generating a response that I really don't want to experience, now I can say, hey, I am wonderfully and creatively made. I was made that I can choose. Okay. I was made as a person of a mind, will, and emotions. So then I can use my mind, backed up by my will, okay, to determine the emotions that I want to experience. Then when I do that, now that creates a second set or another or a different stream of thoughts. Okay. And when that stream of thoughts is now there, okay, so now I can say, hey, this is what I want to do. So now you can do that more repeatedly. Okay, so now when that emotion is coming to you, you can make the decision in turn and say, I rather choose to act upon this. Okay, and the more you do that, then that becomes your habit. And then as that becomes your habit, then that becomes your character. And then that becomes your lifestyle. Okay. So then you have a predisposition of being a nice person. Okay. You have a predisposition, right? If that's uncontrolled, of being a person that's always shooting off at the handle, right? Don't say this or don't say that in front of them, because they that's just going to blow up. Okay. So now what this does is this allows you to create instead of having to repair. Okay, so now you're able to create a lifestyle based upon the choosing of the actions, the choosing of the energy, the emotions. So you can choose those now, and now you can create the lifestyle that you so desire, because now you're creating the positive. You're choosing the positive over and over and over and over again. Okay, so now even though ups and downs happen, you're able to choose the positive, because now we all have contrast coming toward us, opposition, but that's to make us into a better person. It's not to create more emotions to take us down a different path of fear. All right, and that path of fear is more of the false evidence appearing real. That's more of you saying that, I think something's going to happen. See, you can use your mind and your will with your imagination and create the faith, hope, and love, or you can create the fear. Okay. So now you're surrounded by the ego, right? Edging God out. Okay. And that equals simply fear, because now you have to take and control everything. You have to be the one that decides, moves this and the other. But when you can relax upon the purpose where you were designed, now you're moving in the thing that you are called to do, whether that's the job, business idea, or calling. Okay. So now you can put in the systems and the strategies, because the mindset is in the right place. When the mindset is in the right place, now you can choose. You can choose to respond, right? Now you can do what? Because you say, hey, Mike, it's been on me for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. That's just how I am. That's not the case. That's how you choose to be. No matter what that is, you can do it. Then take today and say, I'm going to read 10 pages of a good book. I'm going to listen to 20 minutes of a good audio about me, about what my purpose is. And how do you know your purpose? You have to get to a point to where you're removing the layers of the onion that has been surrounding you so far. Are you 18? Are you 81? Right? It doesn't matter. Somebody has spoken into your life. You have heard things, and then you have allowed those things to become who you are. So now you're designated that you are this individual. Okay, so now every day you wake up, you do systematic routines accordingly because you believe you are this individual. Okay, and whenever that is the case, then how do you ever get over? How do you ever get out of the place of growing to a better person? You have to implement. You have to put new strategies. You have to put new directions. You have to put new hardware in by doing your software. Rebooting. Right? You have to put new things inside for you to become that individual you want to be. And so if you're continually to going through the motions and not grabbing the emotions, okay, don't go through the motions of life and just let life tell you, and then you react to life, and now you're bitter, now you're happy, now you're joyous. It all depends upon what's outside of you. Okay, now you can be joyous because that what was planted on the inside of you. Okay, so what you want to think about when you're mapping this out, your thoughts, that's potential energy. Right, that's something that is going to happen at some point in time. It is energy, not in motion yet. Right, it's not kinetic, it's not moving. Right, it's potential energy. So now you have these thoughts. What do you do with the thoughts? And sometimes they happen faster than you can actually grab. So once you do that and you see that has happened, then you can do the indicator by looking at the emotion. So if you're feeling happy, and if you're feeling sad, whatever that is coming from a set of thoughts that you've been thinking over time, or that has just been introduced to you over the last few seconds or so. Okay. So now those thoughts have come. It could be a advertisement from a commercial. It could be somebody just called. It could be a text message. So it starts a thought. That thought then is connected to fear or faith. Okay, at that point in time, then it determines how you continue to let that emotion travel. Okay, so now that emotion can travel, and we say, hey, that is something that I'm going to learn from. Right, it may not feel positive, but I know that all things work together for my good. So I know this can be crafted for positivity. Okay. So when we do that, now we say, okay, we capture the potential of the thoughts. Then we introduce more energy, right, to combat the thought. So what if that thought is small now because we captured it and we noticed that it was going to be negative or a potential to be negative. So we continually feed positive. Now, okay, if we can't get it from a reserve, we have to pull out the book, we have to pull out the audio, and we have to deposit more thoughts, more energy to overcome the negative or potentially negative energy. So now that starts to grow and grow and grow. So now that energy starts to produce in your life. So was that negative? Did you allow the negativity to produce? Okay. Did you call somebody else up and then talk about the negativity and make it even more? Right. Remember where two or three are gathered. Okay. Or did you say, hey, call somebody else and say, hey, this is what is happening, but that person is positive, so they're going to talk you down from the ledge. Okay, you say, hey, I know I'm thinking this, but I want to be here, so help me to be here. Okay, man, things are going to always work out. No matter how this is looking, there's something else that you can do about it. What is the best thing that you can do right now? What is this that you can get from this? How can you pass this knowledge and information on to others? Okay, what is it that you can do to make this appear better to you perceptively? So then you're able to create the energy necessary to move through that particular blockage. Okay, because what ends up happening is as the thought continues, then the thoughts become what? Words. Words become sentences. Sentences becomes paragraphs. Then what we do is continually think upon a story over and over again. Okay, so now the words have become into a story that we create and we live out of over and over and over again. So now we're continually caught in the house, the place that where we can't get out of. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to determine that direction and flow. And you have to have a standard or a blueprint to go by, right? What is the real you, right? You have to designate who that is, right? Am I full of faith? Am I full of joy? Am I full of happiness? That is not to say, am I that way? That is to say, I am determined to be that way. It's not to say that, hey, I am saying that as an analysis, I am majority of the times this, this, and this. No, I determine my lifestyle. I determine the thoughts. I determine because I have a will. How do I get that will to get behind with my emotions and my mind? Okay. What you have to do is there has to be a time of neglect. What I mean by you're neglecting the pleasures for the time being, right? You're going to neglect by drinking water for only for a time being. You're going to cut off caffeine. You're going to cut off sugar, those types of things. Okay. So you're going to get to a place to where you are pushing things away, right? Then you can learn what the separation is of the real you and the impulses that's been coming from sugar, that's been coming from caffeine, that's been coming from the thoughts of others. You have to put yourself away from people for a second at a time, right? So what you have to do is just get to a point to where now you have that certain standard, you have that certain blueprint, you have that certain foundation that is unshakable. So now when the thoughts come your way, you're able to analyze those thoughts. Just like when the animals and things like that were brought to Adam to decide who they were, what you're going to call them. We have the same thing within our circumstance, within our garden. When things enter into our garden, we have the ability to designate whether that's positive or negative. We have the ability to do so. But sometimes we leave that onto default. Okay, and that default is what has been programmed ever since we were zero to how old we are now, right? So now what you got to do is reprogram you to respond so that you no longer react. So now when people say, hey, you're different, you doggone straight, okay? Because me has brought me to where I am now, and I'm not satisfied right now. So I have to do things to interject or to inject more energy, right? More positive energy. So that's when I come to a place of bringing in the positives, right? Bringing around the right people, understanding that I have to discipline myself, understanding that I have to take the time to sit down and say what I will and what I will not allow, and then speak that forward, right? So now the words are out there. Those are active energy. The active energy is out there, okay? So now what you're doing is the law of attraction has a time, it works no matter what we do, okay? But the law of attraction, people say, doesn't work because of you have a battle going on within you. Okay, so when that battle is going on within you, that means you have positive sometimes and negative sometimes, positive sometimes and negative sometimes. And you say, Michael, ain't that most people? No, that isn't. People, it's because we have been surrounded by people, and that's what we see majority of the times. Okay. And now I'm not saying that you won't have a time to where something outside of you has caused you to be a certain way from a reactive standpoint. That always happens, right? You have those types of things, right? You may have a bad day, right? A certain time point. But on the whole, you have disciplined yourself, right? That's just like saying a person that is of good health and is looking is totally muscular, or however people deem good health is, right? That means they discipline their life so that it can be seen that way. Okay, they're not going to say, hey, it's because some days I ate 2 days out of the week I ate sugar and caffeine and this, that, and the other, but 3 days out of the week I ate good, right? But no, they're going to say, hey, I have a systematic way of doing things. I've disciplined myself. I'm not up and down, up and down. I've gotten to a place to where I'm eating the right way. And so that's what we have to do. We have to eat the right way with our personal development. What is it that we're eating? We're taking in the politics that's going around. We're taking in the person that is doing this and getting away with it. We're taking in all of these things that doesn't amount to a hill of beans to what you can produce, right? The more you let in that is not of you, then the more you're going to produce things that are not of you. But you're going to continue to call those things you. Okay, you're going to identify with the poverty. You're going to identify with the mind state of being angry. You're going to identify, right? Instead of understanding that you are wonderful, you are purposeful, and in your own way. And so you have to be placed into your own field so that you can be grown, right? So how do you do that? You have to get into a place where you plant the right positiveness, right? No, that's not a word, but that's what I'm saying. You have to get that into you so that it can produce. So always, 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 guys, it's what we are as purpose pursuers. And a lot of times we talk about, different things, and the whole thing is to understand context. Understand what is it that, where are you now? Where are you going? And see, what map do you need to follow accordingly, right? What steps are you needing to follow accordingly, right? So if you're here, there's no need. Let's say, for instance, if you're in a place and you understand that you are responding negatively majority of the times, you need majority of your work inputting more things. There's no need to jumping out and developing or building something like going into a relationship, going into a different business, or those types of things if you have not gotten your framework together. Okay. So then what happens then, you're able to produce that you want to produce. Okay. So your goal is to get your emotions, capture your emotions, right? And how do you do that? You recognize them. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight, but you say, hey, you have a journal. You say, hey, this is what happened, and I reacted like this accordingly, and I would have rather reacted like this. Okay, and then as day to day go by, you'll start to see your triggers. You start to see the things that triggered you. The button pushed, and then you start to work on the buttons, even eliminating the buttons. Okay, so that's all you have to do to work on yourself and to get yourself into a different place and understand how to apply the context. Where are you? Where you want to go? What do you have to do accordingly? It's just like you walk into a recipe, right? And the two chefs that are in there, they both know the same recipe, right? But if he walks in, she walks in, and they know that they're on step 3, they can take from there and go forward, right? Because they understand that process. You need somebody that understands the process, that can get you to where you are in those steps, okay? So that you can analyze what you need. Guys, y'all have a good one. Appreciate you tuning in, and always be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts are going to turn into words. Your words turn sentences into paragraphs, into the story that you tell yourself over and over again. That story then gets passed down through the generations, and then you have a culture. Okay, y'all have a good one. Peace.